From AccuWeather.com, this is AccuWeather Daily, a brief host-read article. It's weather news in a nutshell. California's Death Valley National Park is one of the hottest, driest places in North America. But under the right conditions, the brown desert floor can transform from bare to fields of yellow, purple, and pink, a rare event known as a superbloom. And this year may be shaping up as one of those standout years. The National Park Service told AccuWeather that based on the sprouts that they're seeing, it looks quite possible that there will be a superbloom this year. There are already nice fields of wildflowers blooming along the south end of Badwater Road. Now, if the bloom builds the way that the National Park Service expects, the peak will occur between late February and early April. Death Valley's most recent superblooms were reported in 2016, and then you can go back to 2005 and 1998 to find others. Some flowers have already been spotted in the park along the south end of Badwater Road. A superbloom is not just about the weather in the spring, though. Conditions must align months before the first flowers emerge. According to the National Park Service, the biggest factor is having unusually high rainfall events several times over late fall through early spring. Temperature also plays a role in when the flowers bloom. Winds can dry the flowers out and shorten the duration of a good bloom. Since October 1st, Death Valley has measured almost 2.5 inches of rain, already surpassing the 2 2/10 inches that typically falls in an entire year. Now, much of that rain arrived in November during a barrage of storms that helped prime the landscape. The same unusually wet pattern also revived Death Valley's ancient lake, known as Lake Manly. When superblooms happen, common flowers include desert gold, brown-eyed evening primrose, golden evening primrose, sand verbena, and phacelia. As beautiful as the flowers can be, park officials do urge visitors to leave them where they are, saying regulations prohibit picking wildflowers so that they may produce seeds for the next wildflower season. Well, in the eastern part of the U.S., this winter season has felt relentless in recent weeks, with impactful storms and unyielding, dangerous cold bringing repeated disruptions to the region. This week, the pattern started dry across much of the northeast and the southeast as high pressure dominated the region. By midweek, a Clipper-type storm is expected to impact areas from the Great Lakes to New England as conditions trend slightly warmer for some. However, attention may soon turn to a larger-scale storm that could take shape for much of the east this weekend. For several weeks, AccuWeather long-range meteorologists have been monitoring the potential for another winter storm to develop across the eastern U.S. around the second week of February, including Valentine's Day weekend. While there are still several factors that will determine the storm's eventual intensity and track, the setup bears watching. Forecasters are monitoring a developing feature that could bring a mix of wintry weather to parts of the Great Lakes and the Northeast. Most locations impacted by the colder northern flank of this storm could receive between 1 and 3 inches of snow into midweek. In the higher ground, particularly the Adirondacks, into the Green and White Mountains of New England, and in Maine, amounts can range from 3 to 6 inches, with an AccuWeather local storm max of 10 inches. Travelers should stay weather aware as snow spreads across the region, particularly those heading along portions of Interstates 81, 87, 91, and 93 in parts of New England. As this storm sweeps through the Northeast, it will help to pull a warmer air mass north across the region and provide residents with a welcome break after the bitter cold over the weekend. Many locations will have maximum temperatures creeping into the 40s Wednesday, which can feel downright warm after AccuWeather real field temps ranged as low as 30 to 40 degrees below with the windy conditions on Saturday. Over the coming days, the harshest Arctic cold will gradually retreat north, providing a much-needed reprieve for residents and easing strain on the energy grid. Prolonged cold earlier this season drove up heating demands, leaving many households with higher than average electricity bills. Into the weekend, a storm is expected to set up across the eastern U.S. That could bring a variety of weather hazards depending on the path it travels. A few scenarios are at play later this week, ranging from a primarily southerly track that introduces more of a solidified risk of flooding and even severe thunderstorms along the Gulf Coast states and southeast, to a northerly track that means more snow and ice for the Midwest and the Northeast. Even if the storm's track varies, rain and thunderstorms developing across the south could raise flooding concerns as deep Gulf moisture feeds into the system. Ongoing drought conditions from Texas to the Carolinas, including pockets of extreme drought, mean rainfall would be welcome, but dry soils may increase the risk for rapid runoff. That's all for now. You can find more regional forecasts and science-based articles at AccuWeather.com. And for your local forecast at your fingertips, download the AccuWeather app. Enjoy the rest of your day. Be safe. I'll be back tomorrow with more from AccuWeather.